Hello, everybody. This is the AWS Cloud Provider office hours for Kubernetes, or biweekly meeting for Kubernetes. I am your moderator, facilitator, Justin Santa Barbara. I work at Google. A reminder, this meeting is being recorded. It will be uploaded to YouTube shortly, and to therefore be mindful of our code of conduct, which boils down to being a good person. And if there are more people, it's good to raise your hand using the Zoom features. We have a relatively light crowd today, so it should be not a problem, but please do feel free to add things to the agenda. I pasted a link to the agenda. And then we can be sure to, well, first to cover it, but also to make sure that it's in the notes for the video. And making you a co-host, Nick. All right. We have, on that light agenda, we have, I think, one item. So we will go through, we had one item when I checked a minute ago. We will go through that on item, which is a COPS PR from Nick. I was expecting it to be from Peter. Okay, that confused me. All right, Nick, do you want to talk about the PR?
Yeah, I just, so my goal here is basically to just kind of maybe make a few tweaks to how the external cloud provider for AWS runs on COPS. I'm not sure if what I'm doing is a good idea or what you guys would recommend, but I figured I would, just experimenting, so I'd throw it out there. Then my goal after this is to basically document that in the AWS Cloud Provider repo, and then get the Kubernetes ET test running on COPS using whatever method we end up coming up with. So yeah, I just wanted to didn't make a ton of progress on it this past week because I was on call, but should make some more progress on it next week. So I just wanted to kind of touch base with you guys and see if the approach that I'm doing is correct. Basically, I found there's kind of a couple different ways that it seems like you can do add-ons, and one of them is this sort of baked-in way that seems to be some of the more core add-ons inside up slash whatever it is slash add-ons, something along those lines.
It's pretty deep in the tree. Yes, the add-ons in the top level directory is not the baked-in ones. So
yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's enough information for you to give me feedback on whether or not this is a reasonable approach or not.
Scanning it, looks absolutely correct. I will
say it doesn't work yet. So
the question is going to be like how we trigger it. So we'll probably need some sort of field in the spec. Well, either a feature flag or some sort of field in the spec, some sort of way to trigger this so that we have a way to turn it on and off, because it looks like right now it will basically always be on, and we want to have some mechanism, and then we want to install that add-on and turn off the built-in one, I believe. Is that correct?
Right. Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. It should be. I think I was attempting to trigger it based on if you look at the if statement for where it's like adding the add-on, it should be under the external block. So you have to have the cloud controller manager field defined, and I think if it just isn't empty, then it will use that. So I don't know if that's the right trigger, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, that sounds, I didn't spot that. That could well be good enough. I'll have to think about whether we actually like fill that in, like whether there's any chance it could be filled in by mistake, as it were, but it seems pretty likely to be reasonable.
Okay.
We might need a secondary thing, but yes, this sounds good. And so yes, I can have a look at this and I'll even try this out. I presume that the image is real. The image works.
Yeah, the image is real. So I haven't tested this with a brand new cluster, but I was having issues updating like the most recent cluster that I had created to these changes. And I did the whole build all of the binaries, create a my own COPS base URL S3 bucket that's public, and then put everything using the same directory structure that like the CI tests and stuff use. So I hope it's correct. But yeah, it's still something's wrong. I'm not sure what it is yet.
Okay, I'm happy to like try to figure that out with you if you want. And but yeah, the PR looks good, and I will look at like how to turn off the other like the built-in integrations when this is on, as it were.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, cool.
But thank you for doing that. Looks awesome. I lost the agenda because I'm on a different machine. Okay, we have nothing else on our formal agenda. So we discussed that we were going to basically go through any new issues that may have come in and see whether any new issues have come in on the, I guess, on the main repo primarily. Before we do that, I'd like to open the floor for any other topics. Mir, you introduced yourself beforehand. I think that's fine, but welcome. And if you want to introduce yourself again, you're welcome to, but otherwise welcome to our new participant.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Good to have you. All right. I assume everyone would have spoken up by now, so I'm going to share screen. I'm going to try to share screen. This is a little... All right, I may have to improvise a little bit here. Please bear with me. Sorry about this. Let's see. I go this and I show Finder. Fine.
So Justin, what caused you to migrate to Mac for today?
It's silly. We can't run Zoom on our work machines for security reasons. And my Linux laptop has a HDMI out. My Mac laptop has a DisplayPort out, which means I don't have to fiddle with the cables to get it into my monitor. Which always takes a very long time, but yes, it is slightly backfired at this point. All right, let's see if this works. I think I can probably bravely, no, it did not work. All right, I will minimize everything. Sorry, bear with me for just a second. I think I'm gonna have to share my whole screen and no one wants to see all the random tabs I have open. It will be incredibly tedious and confusing and overwhelming as I find it. So I am minimizing the tabs. Okay, let's see. And now finally share. Oh, I see. I have to grant permission. I apologize. Zoom may share. Oh, I can't do it. Okay. All right. I guess we cannot do this unless someone else wants to do this.
I could do it. I just have to get ready.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
Because I have to quit to do this. I should have just messed with the cables. Cool. So Nick, we can see your browser with the Provider AWS meeting up and a similar number of tabs to the ones I have.
Let me quickly look at them, make sure they're okay. So let me open up Kubernetes. Go ahead and take a look at issues. We will do
I tend to just search for AWS first and just search like in reverse order, and then we can like that assumes that someone has tagged them. Right, or yeah. Okay, this looks like a good list. If we go through like the last 2 weeks, I guess that would be.
that's fair.
Something
So
like
we could start with like July, I guess. So
Okay.
a couple of scheduled ETE jobs fail.
That doesn't feel like us. We can have a look, but
Sure, I'll open it. No, I think it's just,
don't even know where does AWS appear? That's weird.
yeah, that's a good question. I saw a lot of
GCEs, exactly.
Uh,
Like this one does sound like us, and it is tagged, which is good.
fails to configure routes when instance has multiple ENIs. Is this? I'm not.
Yeah. So obviously, like when we definitely have this as a scenario in the case of the AWS VPC CNI provider. Is that still the name? But
Yeah.
this would be using the default route controller, like the old thing that used to be KubeNet or even before KubeNet.
Right. Which is still
A valid thing to do.
Yeah.
Can you scroll to the right on that long error message? I think that's an error.
Failed to create route for node.
Spencer's killing us.
Error configuring source dest check.
Okay. Yeah, so okay.
Interesting.
So yeah, so source test check needs to be turned off for this trick to work, for KubeNet to work, because basically we map a /24 to a typically to a. It's always previously been to an instance, but I guess technically it's been to an ENI. I bet that there will be other challenges. Like I don't think this is gonna. I don't think we just have to fix this. I feel like this is a feature request as well as a bug. In that, like, it's not like it's a regression or anything. It's that someone wants to be able to use KubeNet when they are running more than one ENI, and that's obviously never come up before. Oh, and there's a PR. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I like the special notes. Yes. we should address that.
Yeah.
What I don't know is whether this will actually work. Like, is this sufficient, or does it just get past this first one? I can definitely have a look at this as well. I suspect we're not going to get this into 119. This would be a 120 thing, but this feels like something which we definitely could get into 120, especially as there's a PR for it. 92800.
Do you know if I can? Can I assign multiple in one command?
You should be able to. You can always do multiple lines, right?
Yeah. See what happens. Cool. All right. Yeah, I want to just give this one a review because I want to learn about exactly how KubeNet works with.
Yeah, the big downside of this mode of operation used to be that you could only have 50 routes, and so this limited your cluster size to 50 nodes, less a couple for overhead. I believe that limit may have been raised on the AWS side. Or there was a default limit, and there's you can ask for it to be raised, and I think the you can ask went from 100, if I recall correctly, to 1,000. So like Kubernetes is now much more viable if, when people ask for that higher limit, they get that higher limit.
Yeah, that aligns with what I remember hearing internally. So I think you're right about that.
So it sounds like maybe this is a more viable option than it used to be, and we should do this. It's not clear. Yeah, we'll see how it's not clear like how critical it is to support this, or whether they probably should be using things like the AWS VPC CNI if they want, like presumably they want higher performance or something like that. So maybe that would make more sense. So we can try to figure that out, but it seems relatively benign.
Yeah, no, I think it's, I mean, unless we are taking steps to deprecate this, I think it's worth keeping it, improving it, continuing to improve it. Yeah. Cool.
I moved because I don't know, why did it move? Oh no, there it is. Yeah, sorry, it's down the bottom. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Kubemax PD vols. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be. Let's see why AWS showed up on it though.
I mean, that is a. Yeah, that would be a bug. There is a, how does this work? So obviously there's a limit on the number of instances you can attach to, number of volumes you can attach to an instance. If I recall correctly, we hard code that. Is that fair? Is that right? But then there was a request to have, actually, I can't remember. There was a request to have more, I think, originally, and now maybe there's also some sort of conflict with CNI, where maybe you could use this to have less.
Yep, you're right about that. The CNI and I mean, like ENIs in general share slots with volumes because of the newer architecture. So it's like Gen 5 or something, and newer has that issue.
Yes. Quirk. Behavior. That's the word for behavior.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to assign our engineer that works on volume stuff.
Yeah, this might be one where we should continue to basically honor the workaround. In other words, I think we exposed this for a different reason, but it became like the most viable way, if I recall correctly, of working with the quirk of sharing with ENI. I suspect the better answer is to, in the long term, to put this into the CSI driver for AWS EBS, but I don't believe any configuration is today using that in prod. I don't know if EKS has it enabled by default. Do you know, Nick?
Sorry, I was reading
the
issue. Can you say it one more time?
I feel like long term we should build this properly. We should get this working as it was because it's a viable workaround. But the long term answer is probably to put it into the AWS CSI driver, the AWS EBS CSI driver. But I don't know if anyone is using that in I know that COPS doesn't have it enabled. I don't know if EKS has it enabled. You don't know either. It's fine. I mean, I'm sure we're all planning on it, right? Okay.
It's in there somewhere. So if I'm not mistaken, we haven't enabled. No, yeah, we haven't enabled it yet. We have plans to enable it. We've gone. I think. No.
I can Google it.
Because it's additive, right? You can use CSI. It requires some extra configuration. Is that?
Yes, actually, you're right. Amazon EKS now supports the EBS CSI driver as of September last year. So okay.
Yeah, I think it's
available.
It's additive, so you don't actually have to you have to do your own migration. So we've allowed users to do that.
Okay.
We haven't forced you onto it, I think.
Seems like a good answer. Okay, but yes, I think, yeah, that is a whole nother wrinkle, right? Is that now we have now it can't just be in the EBS CSI driver. But I guess if you were using only the EBS CSI driver, we could have better behavior in the EBS CSI driver that looked at this limit more accurately, I guess, or understood this limit more accurately. But we should get the environment variable working so that people have an option in the meantime.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I always hate it when people ask me about the GKE plans in a public place, because it's what is on the record and what is not is always hard. So I apologize for doing that to you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. Yeah, I guess this shouldn't be, the one that we just looked at shouldn't be tagged provider AWS because it's more generic than that, would you say?
Yeah, I guess so, yes. I think that's fair. It certainly affects us more than others, so we should make sure that it gets fixed. But you're right, it probably has to be a scheduler thing.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I should have CC'd Matthew instead of assigning, but oh well.
I hope this is not ours. Yeah, this is not ours, but that's incredibly surprising, but thankfully nothing to do with us. Because I thought there was a symlink that actually made it atomic.
Wow. Okay, interesting. I don't think that's relevant. This definitely doesn't sound relevant. Support for AWS internal load balancers with instances registered. Okay. Yeah, I know we're working on this.
This one's interesting because when I think about the ALB ingress controller, it has an option between registering instance IDs or pod IPs, but it looks like this is asking for instance IPs.
Yeah. I don't know if that is actually what we're working on. I think we might be. I know that there is some NLB IP support that we're working on, but that's probably pod IPs, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway.
Can talk about it. Yeah, we are going to support the IP mode for NLB. Just want to register the instance ID.
Yang, I didn't know you were here.
I also want to talk about the after we.
Yeah, I was hoping you would come to talk about that. Did you add it to the agenda?
Yeah, I just added. Sorry, I was new.
We can take a break if need be. Yeah, you want to? It seems like a natural place to cover this then.
Yeah, so I will. I guess I'll just leave sharing up on the agenda. Go ahead, Yang. Do you want to introduce your topic?
Yeah. So first thing we are going to support the IP mode for NLB. So currently we are registering the instance as target to the NLB, which is using the node port support. And for the IP mode, we're going to add in the port directly as the target of NLB. So it avoids the proxy. So traffic is going from clients to the NLB and then to the ports directly. And to do that, we have to use using an external controller because the current entry cloud provider interface is using instance IDs, I think, for the callbacks in our cloud provider, which don't have port events. So we plan to add in the support directly into the ALB ingress controller and then rename the ALB ingress controller into AWS Node Balancer controller. We plan to do that because NLB and ALB actually share the same ELB v2 API. So there is no sense to share, and we plan to just contain both of them in the same controller. And in the future, we can also move the instance mode support into this external controller as well, and add the in-tree cloud provider or the auto-tree cloud provider just return implemented elsewhere. So people can just install this AWS Node Balancer controller and have support for ALB and NLB both. But in the initial phase, we're going to support all the functionality of ALB and the support for NLB IP mode. Yeah. Any questions or feedbacks?
That sounds. I have two. That sounds awesome. I think the two questions I would have are, and very supportive of it. Let's figure out how to turn off the in-tree. I think we talked about this like briefly 2 weeks ago. How are we going to turn off or tell the in-tree controllers not to touch one of your load balancers that should be in this mode? And then the other question is about where this code is going to end up living and is it in the right place?
Yeah, so the first thing is we're going to modify the in-tree code to return implemented elsewhere. If the allocation of AWS Node Balancer type Kubernetes.io AWS Node Balancer type is NLB IP or external, we have external thing to say for other third-party implementations, so they can specify the AWS Node Balancer type to be external, and then have their additional annotations to identify the controller which is responsible for it. And once this either NLB IP or external annotation is there, the in-tree cloud provider will return implemented elsewhere. The service controller is aware of this special error, and it will ignore the cloud provider node balancer implementation.
That makes a ton of sense. I don't know if you. I don't feel like we talked about this before, so forgive me if I'm repeating anything. We talked about, I think, the idea of provider on ingress as being a template for this, something like that, and maybe there should be a generic field, as you say, and I suggest we should open an issue or something, or at least bring it up in the SIG cloud provider discussion. I don't know if you've done so. SIG cloud provider meeting.
Oh, I haven't been there before. Sorry.
No worries. I mean, yeah, I just there or possibly SIG networking. I don't know. Nick, do you have maybe both? Which is
yeah. I mean, SIG. So Yang, I know you were thinking about doing like a KEP in the AWS directory and the KEP's repo, enhancements repo. Are you still planning on doing that, or is?
Yeah, we should do that. So.
Yeah, I think that would be really good just to kind of make it easier to share the proposal. And I think, personally, I think it would be really great to have this at SIG Cloud Provider, just because, you know, if one cloud provider is moving in this direction, it's definitely relevant to other cloud providers just because they might be thinking of doing similar things, or they might have, you know, ideas or concerns around it. So there was a SIG Cloud Provider meeting this week, unfortunately. So the next one is not next week, it's the week after. But I'm guessing that our overall timeline for this is something maybe akin to the 120 timeline. Is that true, or is it sooner than that?
120. Our desired launch time is end of August, actually.
Okay, it's a little more aggressive than I thought.
So, an annotation then. I mean, I think, yeah, I think you could. So an annotation might be a way to get it to happen immediately. Although, if you want the cloud provider to end of August.
Yeah, I saw Google is doing the same thing. So they have an application which is going to escape the implementation.
Are they shipping that in 119? Are we shipping that in 119?
It was included like 118, or because it's the code added in service controller is for their use case, which escapes the load balancer creation if the node cloud provider returns implemented elsewhere.
Yeah, that's great, and that might save a cap. Yeah, if you can reuse that. I mean, I'm even trying to remember the release date for 119. Like, do you need new stuff in tree for this to happen? To turn off the record?
We don't need anything from the service controller. We just need to change the AWS node balancer controller to return implemented elsewhere, because the implemented elsewhere thing is already supported by Google. So they added support for it.
Yang, you were saying during the bit we just cut that this will probably be cherry picked to EKS. So yes. It doesn't have to go into, do you want to repeat that for the video?
Yes, we're going to cherry pick into EKS, so it doesn't need to be inside 119. And it's the PR is already approved by me, so we are going to merge it into 120.
Cool.
And
so this will,
yeah. And for existing Quarks users, they can still take benefit of this NLB IP mode support by using node port or cast IP type.
Cool. That sounds great. I'm trying to find the way GCE did it, I guess, but I'll also just track down your PR, I guess, and try to see what's going on. But yeah, that's really exciting. I think the other question I had was where this where the code lives right now. Is it in Kubernetes SIGs, or is it like, where is the code right now? I guess it doesn't matter as much, but good to know.
Yeah, we plan the code is in the ALB ingress control repo, and we are still in the implementation phase. And we plan to, after we finish the implementation, we plan to rename the AWS ALB ingress controller to AWS node balancer controller.
That makes sense. Yeah, that would be really great. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions or thoughts? All right.
So sorry, I
Yes,
missed
sorry.
where. Did we talk about where the code was going to live?
We just talked about that.
Okay.
Yang, do you want to repeat? It's
Yeah. The code will be inside ALB ingress controller, and we will rename ALB ingress controller into AWS load balancer controller.
which
Got it, right. So is that going to be CNCF?
Yeah, it is
Or
in Kubernetes 6. So we just
it is in Kubernetes, right? Okay.
that's wonderful. For your information, I don't know whether other projects have yet done renames. I'm trying to think.
I think we have done renames for the AWS ALB ingress controller before, because
Okay.
previous called ALB ingress controller and we added AWS or something.
Cool. All right. That's great. Okay, good. Then yes. So yes, sure rename it. But like yes, I was just gonna be like, you don't have to rename it. It will certainly it will avoid confusion if you do rename it.
Yeah. I mean, technically it doesn't have to be renamed. It's just we added support for NLB IP mode for Kubernetes service, but it's just we plan to rename it because there is ongoing another network API called Service API. So we also plan to support in the same controller as well. So it makes sense to rename to AWS load balancer controller.
Wonderful. Cool. Any other topics or any other thoughts on that?
Did you just update the agenda with notes?
I did not.
Chance? Okay.
I'll put some in now if you want.
I think it would be good. Also, Yang, could you add like you had like an issue in a PR, I think.
Yeah, I'll need the PR here. So wait.
Yeah, I don't think we need to record the video, and we did probably enough of our. We wanted to do a shorter review of issues. I don't know if there's any other topics. We can resume the issue triage, I guess, in 2 weeks at this point.
Sounds good. Yeah.
And there's the pull request. I will copy that, and thank you, Yang. And I will update the notes. I don't know if there are any other final topics. Otherwise, I will stop the recording and seamlessly splice out from the alarm to the sharing of the whiteboard.
Everyone will be none the wiser.
Exactly. Maybe I'll put in a little like comedic interlude.
Are you a comedian, Justin?
I like to think I am, which means that I'm not. All right. Well, if there's no other topics, then I wish everyone a very happy 2 weeks. Happy weekend.
See ya.
See you guys.
Justin, can you hang on for a second?
Sure. Let me stop.